Awesome. So we are live podcasting from NYSCOSS 25, Leading for Deeper Learning. This may be the last session for the day, so this is fitting that we're ending together. I'm here with Dr. Paul Padalino, Superintendent of Kingston, who I've been working with and conspiring for a while. But I do just want to start off before I kind of ask you some questions, and I highlight this often as we think about change, as we think about innovation, as we think about doing what's right for students. You have always, by nature of your system and the scale of it, been kind of a linchpin in being able to move things forward. So, like, if Kingston is in, then we can do something. If Kingston's not, we typically can't. But that isn't really what I'm talking about. Anything that we were bringing to the table that was relevant, important for students, it was going to augment your programs. You said, yes, let's do it, and let's make it happen. So I think that just, again, speaks to who you are. And for audience that's going to be listening, you've been superintendent for a couple years. You got a couple years under your belt.
Couple years.
Tell us a little bit about, like, just your leadership journey, and then we'll move forward.
Yeah, I mean, as far as my leadership journey, I think my most important part of my leadership journey was early in my career when I came out of college and there were no jobs. And I was a teacher's assistant. I was a substitute. I was a home tutor. I did the GED. I was in charge of the GED program. I was a hall monitor. I was a one-to-one aide. I did all those things, and I think those things really got me to understand what goes on every day in the buildings with every single position. So I think, looking at how people in those positions have to work and understand how they fit into the structure of our systems. I think about that every day. How does this go all the way through? But yeah, and I think just getting understanding what I thought was best for kids from my experiences, whether it be teaching or as a principal, and trying to push that forward.
And three different districts superintendency in?
Two different districts,
okay.
Superintendency, and it was a high school principal, assistant principal, teacher, all those things,
Right.
But yeah, I was a superintendent down in Watervliet, near Albany, and then superintendent up here in Kingston for going on 14 years.
So there's longevity in that, in terms of who you are as a leader. And again, I appreciate, right, like after school, you got to engage in work in these roles. So you can never lose sight of the ground floor and all of those one-to-one aides and all the roles you spoke about. But, in terms of you, like your core values as a leader, what would you say are like the pieces that, like, this has always been true, this is how I show up? What do you keep that drives you in how you lead a system?
Yeah, I mean, I think, keeping your mind wide open, looking what's best for kids. And I think that's kind of what you and I were just kind of talking about, and one of the things we encourage our teachers to do every day, and I think it's hard for them and hard for our building administrators, is to take risks. So, you come along and say, I want to do this thing at iPark 87, and I'm thinking, oh, let's take a risk. It's good for kids. It's going to expand what we do for our students. So let's take a risk. So I think, between that and just as far as leadership, I think being very direct with people, letting know what our core values are, letting them know what our mission is, keeping people focused on that mission. And our mission is educating our students, right? And it's easy to get distracted from that, as we all do every day. But I think that's part of what I've done, and I think works. I mean, people respect the fact that you can be direct them, tell them where we're going, where we need to go, and what they need to help to get us to go there.
And I know, as we're talking about some of the changes that are in front of us, they're called New York Inspires, but these are changes that we've known need to happen to this industrial model of schooling for so long. So, Portrait of a Grad, redefining learning, the decoupling of regents. How are you thinking about, you've got a large school system. How are you thinking about this work as it moves forward? Because I think it leans into some of the things that we've been talking about for a long time, right?
Yeah. I think it totally reflects some of the things we've been doing for a long time, whether it was, Hudson Valley Pathways when we started, how long ago was that? It's over 10 years ago we started that in Ulster County. We need to adjust with it, but we also need to prepare our educators for that. In as much as we talk about moving away from the industrial model, it's still how our teachers come to us. So we have to be prepared to provide that support to get them there. And for our administrators too, hey, and for old superintendents like me too.
That's true. But this work has to be multi-pronged, right? Our teacher preparatory, leader preparatory, like the burden cannot just exist on you in a school that large with that many staff to have to do all of that upskilling or training or transformation work. So, I'm excited. I'm excited about that. I think our county specifically has committed to just being in the space together and having those conversations. That isn't necessarily the case around the state. And before we kind of sign off, again, because you've got a couple years under your belt, I heard this number this morning. I keep in the morning keynote, 70 new superintendents this year. That's a lot of openings, a lot of new superintendents. You've been a superintendent in this district for 14 years. That's not an accident. Advice for new superintendents. What are you telling them, especially in this complex world?
Run.
Don't do it.
No. I think some of the questions that you asked are perfect to exactly coming. Stay true to who you are. Keep focused on our students and what we need for them to achieve. Stay true to the mission of your district and your community.
And you did say something that the other day we were meeting, and there was somebody who's a new superintendent by circumstance, and something you said kind of in that closeout as we were just offering kind of some words of support and encouragement. You said, you don't have to do this alone. And that really stuck with me. And even here at NYSCOSS, right? Like, come up, yes, you do some learning, but it's about connections. It's your colleagues. And so I really appreciated that perspective, and I appreciate you taking a couple minutes to sit down and talk, and just being a colleague and getting to work with you. Appreciate it.
No, it's great. Thanks for having me. And then you're right. And just to quickly say, and I think that's to all the new superintendents or less experienced superintendents, is you're not alone. Reach out. I reach out every day, and I've been doing this for 21 years. So it's really important. We could all help each other, and there's 700 of us here today to kind of mix and match and talk about things.
Right.
So yeah, you're not alone.
So you heard the invite from Dr. Padalino. Any new superintendent of anything, you're going to call him, reach directly out to him, and he'll help you through it. No, I appreciate it. Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Dr.